Hello, everybody. Welcome to Knights of the Round Table. I'm Luke and this is TJ.
Hello there, everyone.
For tonight's movie, we are reviewing Turkish Star Wars. So, it is a Turkish sci-fi martial arts film that follows two space cadets, Murat and Ali, who crash on an alien desert and have to protect the human inhabitants from an evil wizard.
Yes.
So, TJ, what did you think of the movie?
The movie. First of all, I just want to say there's so many weird names. This film is first off, and I learned about first off that Turkish Star Wars is not the original name of this film. That's a weird little fact. It's Dunayan Kutran Adam, which roughly translates to the man who saved the world. I'm so sorry for everyone who speaks Turkish. And it is and you're asked, what do I and this is an interesting film. What were you asking about something?
Oh yeah, well, I asked what you thought of it.
It was very I enjoyed it. It is very interesting. How about yourself?
I thought it was pretty terrible.
Yeah.
It was bad. Like the video quality, it's choppy. They need a better camera, and the scenes the scenes are kind of weird, like how they're paced, and the acting could be improved.
Yeah,
overall, it's just a mess.
Yes, but is it a fun mess? Is the question.
Kind of. I don't find it too fun.
All right. I guess. Yeah.
It's stupid, but I don't find it too fun.
Yeah. It is definitely. Yeah. It isn't. Where to begin? It is inventive. Though. You need to give it that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, if there's one thing I won't knock it for, it's the design of the evil wizard. I think he looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I do love I also love the design of the wizard. He's goofy, but he's so lovable. He's so cool. He's so cool looking. I would love to see him in some sort of album art or something.
Were you gonna say lovable?
Yeah, I love him. Yeah, I love him. Look at him. Look at his spikes. He's so adorable.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, yeah. It's so. I guess. But yeah, I found this film to be the best way I could describe how I found this film is that it feels like it was made by a child, and I mean that in the best of ways. It's so. Oh my god, it is. There is just it's.
I would say in the worst of ways.
You would say in the worst of ways?
Yeah.
Yeah. Worst. Yeah. Well, it's not. Well, there's bad ways, but I think that aspect of the film. But I think in that, I would. That also has flaws, but I would say that's one of my favorite aspects of the film. It's so childlike in its presentation and its story and even its look. Like oh yeah, there's a sword in the film. And that sword, it looks like a children's illustration.
It looks like something you would see in the He-Man show.
No, that doesn't. Yeah, even in He-Man, that would look. In He-Man, I don't think it would find that practical.
It has a lightning bolt design.
I don't even think it's a lightning bolt. I think it's just covered in spikes.
I could see He-Man picking up the sword and swinging lightning out of it.
Yeah, but it's so. Yeah, and it's. Yeah, but yeah, there's a. But that in the landscape, an infamous aspect of this film is the stolen footage.
Yes.
And also as well as sound effects and sound effects and even scores from other movies.
Yeah.
How'd you how'd you how'd you find that aspect of the film?
I think it's bad that they're stealing footage.
Yeah,
Like,
but it's
they could be sued for it.
but they would have a hard. Well, the studios would have a hard time. If they even cared back then. Like it is, like yeah, like it is very like it's due to it being made in Turkey and Turkey. There is a yeah. It was hard for them. It was hard for studios to sue them, and that's why we got Turksploitation, which is this is the most popular example of. Oh, here's a weird fact. I apparently, and this is not the best source. Apparently they had their own spaceships, but then they got destroyed in a storm, and so they had to use footage from Star Wars.
You're joking, right?
I don't. Yeah, that could be wrong. That could be wrong, but I think that's what. But from what. But I read that's one of the reasons they stole the footage. But yeah. Yeah, legal elements out of the way. I do think it is. It does. I think it also just adds to sort of the charm of the movie and how brazen it is. Brazen it is. Like it kind of reminds me of a child stealing. Like I wouldn't say steal. I shouldn't say stealing. Using films they like and to have like their own backyard films and just as well as just smashing little action figures together. It's so whimsical and innocent in that regard. Yeah. Also the yeah. Also the creature design. How did you find that?
Which creature? Like the
Oh
monsters?
yeah, monsters.
Um, they're alright. They seem to be
Yeah,
original designs.
yeah, it is. Yeah, but man if they're not
Yeah.
like in wild though. They did not pull out the stocks. You got a purple robot. You got pink yetis, mummies, zombies, and it's so yeah. And again, yeah, and it's so insane. It is insane, and the costumes they don't look great, but that adds to the charm. It's yeah, yeah. Although it was weird, the racist ones like at the bar,
Well,
like
what do you mean
when they
racist?
were like the black person and the Chinese person in the like when they meet in a bar, or at least it looks like him, like the masks they wear.
Oh,
The first
yeah.
it is that is so that scene is kind of baffling. Do you think they do you think they were supposed to be like people, or do you think the creators just had to get these monsters out, and they just bought some racist costumes from the store because it's weird, and it's
Yeah.
weird because not only like they're these rubber character masks of like a black person, a
Yeah.
Chinese person, but they're also amongst like devils and such, and it just I don't know what they're going for.
I
I
think
don't not saying it's
yeah.
good, but what?
I think I think the black person and Chinese person at the bar. I think they were meant to be racist.
Yeah, yeah, well they were meant. Well, whether or not they were meant to be
Hmm.
harmful is questionable, but
Hmm.
they definitely don't look good.
I
So
think the red creatures are the are spot on
yeah,
embodiments of demons.
yeah,
Yeah, they
yeah.
remind me
This
of
is a weird.
demons.
Yeah, yeah. This is a weird. Speaking of the bar scene, there is a weird use of stolen footage. Like, do you remember the werewolf thing? The
Yeah.
first monster we saw.
Uh huh. Yeah.
Yeah, that was from Star Wars. it's not any of the newer cuts of the film, but like that's from the original cut of the film.
Oh, yeah.
It's it is definitely it's some of the again just some of the use of stock footage is just weird. Like not the stock footage, the stolen assets is weird, and I don't get it. Like sometimes it's what I assume to be original music, but other times it's from Indian Star Wars, of course, but also like other films like Indiana Jones and Flash Gordon. It is, yeah, it's definitely, yeah, it is. I just want to know what the thought process behind some of these films. This film is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't like the footage of the American and Soviet space stations. Like, I get the movie is supposed to take place in space, but they don't relate to the plot or story in the slightest.
What little plot and story there is, and this is near the beginning.
Beginning and middle. They
Yeah.
show footage of these rockets and satellites and space
Yeah.
stations.
Yeah, to establish sort of the tone of being part of a sci-fi world. It's definitely a weird. Yeah,
They don't establish the
does.
tone at all.
I mean, they kind of do, if not too well. Like they're trying to. I mean, they want to show they're in space. Now we know they're in space, and this is the future, and nukes, and there was a nuclear war or something. It's so. So here's a question: do you think it's fair to call this film a Star Wars ripoff?
Yes, I think it's totally fair.
And ignoring the footage and such, do you think this feels like a ripoff of the original film?
In a way, yeah.
Okay, I don't think it's too fair. Like obviously, like ignoring all the stock footage and stuff, you can like you could easily like if this had nothing, you could easily tweak a few things, like get rid of the stock footage. And I don't think it would be really similar to Star Wars. Obviously, there's scenes from it. We mentioned the bar scene a few times. But that was obviously
What about the scene where they're in the fighter jet?
that was the fighter jet.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not really. I mean, obviously that uses footage, but that's not really that Star Warsy when you get down to it. They're just in rockets going through space, which is not.
But they're
It's not
still
something
shooting at
more
other ships.
Pew pew pew.
in the footage. If you got rid of the footage, would that have any resemblance to Star Wars?
Yeah, I said in a way they're in space. They're on a desert planet, and they're fighting like aliens.
I mean, they're also on Earth. Which is a big part of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's completely fair. It's obvious. I don't think it's completely fair to call this film a Star Wars ripoff, but I do see why people could come to that conclusion. It's definitely, yeah. I think, yeah. Here's my question. What do you think of the action?
It was interesting.
Yeah.
The fight scenes remind me of the ones in Star Trek. Like they're really cheesy. You see characters doing these weird fight moves, like they do the karate chop and the backhand. They put a lot of motion to the backhand. They're like, ah,
yeah.
And they're barely even touching the opponent they're fighting.
Yeah.
Their strikes barely even touch.
Yeah. But arguably, it's one of the better elements of the film. There's clearly a lot of choreography that's went into it. Like they were clearly having a lot of fun. The main actor apparently was a martial artist, and it does show.
They both are.
If it's not the best. Say again?
They both are.
Yeah, really. Yeah, and that shows. That shows it's relatively competent. Although, yeah, some of the stuff they do is it's so bizarre, but so charming. Like they jumping around and punching rocks.
But they should at least make it look like they're landing blows on people.
Yeah, I mean, that's incompetence for you.
Yeah.
It was, yeah. One thing that surprised me is that this film was this film, although not particularly gory, it was surprisingly violent. Like you got holy cow, you got these guys chopping the limbs off of aliens and then impaling those aliens with those very limbs.
Oh yeah, and let's not forget the
So
scene where the main character
it is
karate chops the wizard in half.
Yeah, it's so much. Yeah, it's so. It is. What it is. It is insane. It is insane. Like I don't. Also, yeah. Also, there's also the fake blood beginning was. This is a bit tangential, but the fake blood here at the beginning, that was. I've never seen blood be violent before.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
oh my! I don't know if that was film quality or I don't know if that was a film quality or they just didn't know if they make flake blood or not.
One thing that annoys me about the violent scenes is how we see several cuts of the Turkish cadets jumping in the air. We see there's like a gazillion cuts of them just jumping. But what are
Yes,
they? Bunnies?
they're Mario. They're Mario, and they even jump on a monster to death. It's so they even jump on a monster. It's so insane, and it's honestly there's a lot of like this film. It's like as a right normal film, like judging it based on competence on acting and acting, set design, cinematography, and like it's not it's not good in those aspects, but there's still a great sense of fun to it. There's such and camaraderie and innocence that honestly that a lot of big mainstream films, not all of them mind you, but a good few of them like are they don't really capture. Like I'm thinking like again this isn't all of them, and this isn't to say that mainstream Hollywood is lazy or anything like that, or it doesn't have any passionate people, but like compare this film to say
If
Star
anything, it proves that Hollywood isn't lazy.
these people weren't lazy. They just didn't have the resources to really make the film they wanted, or the skills, or the time, or the anything. But but like compare this to film to say Star Wars Rise of Skywalker. Like that's obviously a very bad. That's obviously not a very extreme example because but like that film, it's so there's just so little passion, so little yeah, and it's just so bland in many aspects, which isn't entirely the movie's fault. That's which is entire which and this I should say. Let me say that again. That's not the creator's fault, mind you. Like there's a lot that went into what made that film arguably the worst Star Wars film. I would say it is, yeah, but it is definitely. But comparing that to this and other examples, there's just so much. Yeah, there's just a joy to it. I, so Luca, what would you rate this film?
I rated a 2 to a 3 out of 10. You?
I'd probably on the scale of being a normal film, like a competent film, I'd probably give it a 3. But but based on pure enjoyment and it being being a B movie, I'd probably give it a 7 or an 8. It's definitely not a quality film, but if you want an interesting viewing experience that's fun and inventive, I'd say check it out.
Yeah. If you're like mad about the movie stealing footage from Star Wars, I wouldn't recommend watching it. If you think it's If you think it's going to be terrible, don't watch it. And if you're into silliness and comedies, maybe check this movie out. You'll be in for a treat. And apparently this film has a cult following. I would recommend those people to watch the film as well.
Yeah, I've already watched the film. But yeah, it's definitely yeah, I don't know. The stolen footage, it really doesn't bother me. Like, maybe if it was a new film, but they were smaller, but they didn't have the same amount of resources as the people who they were stealing from. And B, they didn't really try to rip off the films they were stealing from. This isn't like they weren't like, I argued why I don't think this would be fair to call this Star Wars film or Star Wars ripoff. But I don't think it's really pretending to it's not really tricking people into watching this. Although I would agree, this isn't to say that a movie should just steal footage and stuff willy-nilly. But here I feel it is harmless. So what do you want to review next?
Okay, going off the theme of sci-fi comedies, I choose to review Spaceballs.
Alright, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Alright, thank you very much. And I'll see you in a week.
Thank you for joining me, TJ.